So, okay, and then the topic. I want to know about the topic because I from that previous list, I was watching back over episode 10, and I thought that there was something very interesting about
talent.
Are you looking at the document?
No.
No. Why did you say talent?
Because I picked up the same thing in episode 10.
Are you f***ing with me?
No! I was actually going to suggest it.
No, you must be f***ing with me. That's impossible. How did we come up with the exact same one?
Because what did you say in episode 10?
Wait, no. Okay, so you're saying talent. Tell me the exact topic, because it can't just broadly be talent. So what was the exact topic you wanted to say?
It's something that you read before in the document. That's something like people not using their talent or having friends who are really talented. But you said something in the podcast when it was like about working, and you're like, some people are really talented, but they're just never gonna be anything because they don't put in the work to like be excellent.
Okay, all right. So, that's so weird. That's so weird. In a great way. It's weird in a great way. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna let me just find this super quick. I'm just looking for like an infographic here. Hello, and wait, am I recording everywhere? I am. Last check. Okay, good. We're good. Sorry. Hello, and welcome to episode 11. We are now safely into the double digits. Episode 11 of Is This Thing On Podcast with myself, Michael, and my good friend Alicia. Alicia, how's it going?
Everything's going good. I feel like I'm gonna say the same thing. Dubai's chilled. It's pretty hot. It's really going great. Everything's normal. Same as episode 10, pretty much.
Yeah, not too dissimilar. I'd probably say exactly the same thing. The weather is in the UK, obviously, because we just like talking about the weather here. Is up and down, a little bit warm, a little bit cold. I guess it's kind of in that middle ground before we sort of get towards summer. So occasionally having lunch outside, occasionally freezing to death. About to go to sleep. Yeah, so a good mix.
Keeping it well-rounded.
Good mix. On today's episode, we're talking about a couple of very interesting news pieces. I've got one content creator to share for our content section, and then, of course, for our topic on today's episode is, should I tell them, or should we just get to it later?
Of course you should. No, tell them so that they stick
so
around to the end of the podcast.
Our topic
guys.
today, and you do want to stick around for this one because it's an interesting one, and I predict probably a lot of very interesting little perspectives to come from it. The topic is taking talent for granted.
Which all the people that are going to listen to this, you do that. So
yeah, I believe that. I do believe that.
Stay to the end of this episode. Let me judge you.
I think. Okay, no, I'm going to leave it for them. I have a belief that everyone takes their talents for granted. But moving swiftly along, and we'll explain a bit more about that later. So just before we jump right in, I just wanted to say, of course, if you're watching this on the YouTube, please subscribe, hit the notification button. It's very appreciated. If you are listening to this on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, any one of your favorite podcast platforms, of course, subscribe, follow, leave us ratings and reviews. We would love to get this podcast to more people. So if you are listening to it and you can share a link or anything of that nature, we would be very, very grateful. Of course, we're on Patreon if you'd like to support us. And you can also buy us a coffee. There's links, everything is in the description. So that's all of the housekeeping out of the way for now. Moving swiftly along. Today's news reactions. I've picked out 3 little pieces. 4 if you count the little random update at the end. Shout out to the fiance for giving me that little one. She thought I might like it. So the first 3, number 1, Kim Kardashian. There's a problem, obviously. Anytime that anything that I bring up, if it's a news piece and it starts with Kim Kardashian, there's a problem. Something has gone severely wrong in the universe. The time-space continuum has collapsed and folded back on itself. Something ridiculous is going on. But Kim Kardashian is now making masks. Face masks. Kim Kardashian is making face masks. And I don't know how I feel about this. Because they sold out on the first day.
Of course they did, because it's Kim K. Like, of course it did.
Keeping up with coronavirus.
What do they look like? Describe them to me.
So they're non-medical. They look almost like I don't know if my knowledge of women's fashion is practically zero, but they're like the spaghetti straps tops, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just very thin. It looks like a spaghetti strap top for your face.
Good.
It's like
I'll throw up a
t-shirt
picture, obviously,
material.
but I'm having him describe this for the
It's like
audio's sake.
they've got a bunch of different colors. It's got. If you are listening to this on the audio, please listen to my description and then go watch the video and tell me if I'm terrible. But anyway, they are beige. They look terrible. They really look.
But
ghastly.
they probably look sleek and like what everybody wants, because people do
It's
like
diabolical.
wearing spaghetti
It's
straps and
horrible.
stuff.
So
But what I'll say is that everybody's starting to make masks. It's where the money is. Like my flatmate works for a I don't want to say tourism. They work with all the big like theme parks and everything, and even they started making masks, medical grade masks.
So there's the difference. There's the huge. I'm so glad you said that, because Kim K's are not medical.
Yeah.
They are non-medical. Prices starting at $8. They come in 5 colors: sand, clay, sienna, that's a color, cocoa, and onyx.
Ooh.
So I'm not too pleased about this, but that's just my view. How do you feel about this? Do you really care so much?
I think it's just a cash grab, and the U.S. is gonna do it. Obviously, like if they have to wear these masks, they better make it fashion. No offense, guys.
By all means, of course, yeah. No, we know that. We get it.
And some of the designs they've come up with are actually pretty sick. Like my friend posted a picture in one the other day, and it doesn't look like very medical, but I was also like, kind of dope, kind of want one.
My fiance's mom, bless her soul, has made like homemade ones. And they are so legit. Like, no word of a lie. They are like professional medical grade looking things. Like they're homemade, but she's gone and like sourced like all the like filters and the nose bridge aluminium piece and like the elastic that's right for the head, and like she's properly gone and like kitted it out. I'm super impressed. Like literally my first thing was
fiance's mom.
Like I looked at these, and my first question was, so what is the unit cost for this? What does it cost per unit? Do you have any distribution? Do we have any, like, what kind of profit margins do we look at? But that was my first instinct, because they look so professional. I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's my little moment. But yeah, so of course Kim Kardashian West is making face masks. So I'm going to leave that there, because that makes me upset. Now, what doesn't make me upset is the fact that our next headline is to do with football. Soccer for our friends across the pond. The Premier League, which is one of the most watched football leagues on earth. It's England, the English Premier League. But there has been a monumental vote. So all of the clubs have voted in favour of returning to training as Project Restart edges closer. Now, does that mean that we are going to be having huge, like World Cup level matches with tens of thousands of people in stadiums again and full on matches? No. All this is just them returning to training. But that makes me feel a lot better, because at least there's a degree of this slight little light at the end of the tunnel. Just this little piece of hope that I can have.
Yeah, it makes me feel the exact opposite.
Oh no, don't say that. Why?
Because everything is telling us, at least history and science, that there is going to be a second wave, and people going back to like normal life is just, it's scary, because I feel like it's I'm happy that they're not going full blown with it, and it's just practice, and all of them are responsible for themselves. They're signing up to be with their teammates, but what are their teammates doing after practice, and how many of those guys have families and elder parents, and you can't keep track of everybody all the time. Again, it's everybody's choice, right? In this specific situation, they're going to go practice. It's the same as people going back to work, in my opinion, because that's their job.
Yep.
But it also just kind of is normalizing something that I don't think is finished. Again, personal opinion, but based off history.
Fair enough.
And so seeing that second wave is scaring me, because it's not going to hit immediately. We're going to go back to normal life. Again, this is just predictions based off what I've seen. We're going to go back to normal life, and then come fall, winter, which is something that Dr. Fauci has actually said as well, that it's going to hit hard. I'll put up the graph that I saw from the Spanish flu, but that
was the one that you sent me earlier today, I think.
Yeah.
it's scary. It's yeah, it's not
So for me, I get
not
the
nice to
light at
look
the end
at.
of the tunnel, like we're gonna go to, but I don't think that that's gonna be a reality. And if I'm being really honest and really kind of critical, like about all of this, I don't think we're going back to normal life for at least a year and a half, and
Yeah,
just based off how people are behaving now.
if I'm totally honest with you, I don't entirely disagree, frankly. Um, but if all I get is videos of people at training, then at least okay, give me that. Then I'm happy. So moving swiftly along, the next piece that we have now, this was a piece done by CNN, and it may seem a little bit doom and gloom, but there is a lot of validity to sort of how they've angled this. The theory that Gen Z will be hit the hardest by the financial fallout from coronavirus. Now,
Okay.
that's difficult to hear as a millennial. It's difficult to hear probably as a Gen X, a boomer, whatever it is. Everybody thinks that they are the worst. Everyone is going to think that like, oh no, but my generation has the worst because healthcare is going to suffer if you're in a retirement home. Every parent who is saving up for their retirement because they've paid for their kids to go to university already, and now they're trying to like cash grab to save up and afford a retirement. They're going to be like, yeah, but whatever, our industries, or we've lost jobs, whatever, and now we can't afford to retire.
Yeah.
And down the chain we go, and down the chain we go. But for the same reason that people were up in arms anytime there's elections that are sort of like really groundbreaking elections that are going to determine what life in the country is like for the next couple of decades, it always comes back to the youngest people because they are the ones that have to live with
It for the
the
longest.
fallout for the longest. Precisely. Yeah. So I look at this and I'm like, it seems doom and gloom, but I also don't necessarily disagree. There are kids now that are like, they don't even know if they're going to finish school on time.
Yeah.
They don't know that they're going to be able to go to university. Anyone's in university, they don't know that they're going to be able to get jobs. Young people that aren't doing university, they are very low on the experience scale, on that ladder. How do we know that when everyone loses their jobs and companies start opening up again, they're not going to be going for people with less experience? There's going to be an absolute surplus of people with experience looking for jobs. So the question is, what happens to Gen Z?
Honestly, I don't know. Clearly, nobody knows. But I think that they're going to be, this is going to sound bad, but they're going to be the ones that have to figure that out, is how they spin this and make it work for them. I mean, the millennials, we were put in really bad positions by the 2008 recession. And that was our crisis. It's nowhere near as bad as this, but we had to figure it out for ourselves. And out of that came a lot of like entrepreneurial spirits, with a lot of like that hustle mentality and people trying different things. Our generation, millennials, are, what's the word I'm looking for?
It's hardy. They're resourceful.
No, that's not what I want to say. Basically, there's a person out here who has an AI platform. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about how the millennial generation going into 2020 will make up majority of the job market, but also are the leaders in working for yourself, in freelancing, in startup businesses, in SMEs. Because we understand the value that we're of working and what that means for us. I don't know if I'd attribute it directly to the 2008 recession, but I will say that we didn't get a lot of things handed to us. At least for me, at that point in time, I was just coming into the age where I could get a job. Yeah. And most of the part-time jobs that I would have gotten maybe a few years prior were being taken by people who were in their 30s who had lost their jobs. So we weren't given a lot of work experience up front. We weren't given a lot of opportunities up front because of that.
So this when we talked about discussing this on the podcast, it led us to a very interesting kind of like realization that there is / isn't a hard and fast rule for what generation we're talking about anyway.
Michael. There's dates.
So that and this is what I want to talk about, because there are that you Google millennials' age. And the millennials entry on Wikipedia has this to say. Gallup, MSW Research, and the Resolution Foundation use the age range between 1980 and 1996. PricewaterhouseCoopers, consultants and research, has used 1981 to 1995. Nielsen Media Research has defined millennials as adults between the ages of 22 and 38 years old in 2019. In 2014, USPIRG described millennials as those born between 1983 and 2000. So the age range between 1995 and 2000, this is, this is slight disparity I'm seeing here. Now, as of 2020, the actual breakdown of age looks like this. I'm just going to walk you through them. So, baby boomers.
You are reading my article.
Was this the Casasso one?
Yes.
I'm going to throw it back in your face because it's not the rules.
This is what I meant to him before we started this podcast.
I didn't know that this was the website that you were using.
You literally read it verbatim. As of 2020, the breakdown by age looks like this.
And I read it very nicely. So all right, let me get through it. So baby boomers, by their definition, and it looks a lot like they're going off the US, which is fine. But when I was doing the research on these age brackets, a lot of different things came up because by country, it seems like each place kind of defines it differently. The main thing about this Casasso article that I saw, and I am glad that this was the one that you wanted to get to, but I found it interesting that they broke Gen Y into two sections.
Mm-hmm.
That I found the most interesting because with this kind of like disparity between who's using what dates, they're using, for the purpose of this article, were born between 1980 and 94. Now, those breakdowns at 2020, Gen Y.1, which is the younger set, which we're in, is 25 to 29 years old. And then Gen Y.2 is 29 to 39 years old.
Yeah.
We're talking about like a roughly 15-year gap. But the first 5 of those 15, the youngest 5 of those 15, interestingly enough, kind of break separately. And I guess that would be based on life experience, because you're looking at someone between 29 and 39, and it's far more likely that between those ages, we're talking about people that are potentially reaching points where they might buy a house, or they might be married and have kids, or whatever the case is, right? The 25 to 29 is still your younger working population.
But also people who were directly affected at a younger age by the 2008 recession.
Sure. Absolutely. Look, I mean, when you're looking at that younger end of the spectrum, which I am by a long way, 2008 recession, I was in school.
Yeah.
So what do I know? But you look at people
but you were coming into that world, though. That's the difference. Is people were experiencing it and had a hand in creating it. You were just coming into something somebody else had destroyed.
Sure, that's true. But you don't know, like. Again, it's not like
I'm saying this in relationship to what Gen Z is going to be experiencing coming into
100%.
A world
the thing
of Corona.
Is, Gen Z, if you are in university or just coming out of school now, your first experience of looking for a job is at the very peak of the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah.
Or the peak of the fallout, rather. That was never something that we experienced. Maybe you, but definitely not me. By the time I came out, the world had kind of like, in terms of like the violence of it, it kind of like. Yeah,
I didn't turn 18 till 2010, but it still was affecting, especially where I was living, the jobs I was able to get.
Oh, 100%.
At that age.
I believe 100%. I believe that 100%. So I think. Are we in agreement? We're in agreement with this. In agreement with this headline, Gen Z will be the hardest hit?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. Well, we are then in agreement. So we're going to jump on then from our headlines. Right, sorry, I forgot. There's one more. Fiance will throw things at me if I fail to mention this. But apparently in Dubai, there is some news. The curfews have been changed, I think, from 10:30 till 8 p.m. The sterilization measures are coming forward a little bit.
Which is so funny. And while you were mentioning this before we started, I had just gotten a message from somebody saying that the time was changed.
So this really is fresh news. It's only
fresh,
started now.
Like 10 minutes ago, fresh. Like,
wow.
But at receiving that message, she said that it was rumor and that she hadn't seen any verified news sources on it. So I was like, okay, I'll see it when I see it. Like something will come up on my feed, or I'll go check some of the social media pages.
So today
is interesting because it's aligning with Eid. So I don't know if that's in measure to keep people from celebrating too much and gathering in big groups.
It's possible. I think like if we're talking like a logical set of reactions, they would have seen what happened the day that it got the lockdown was released slightly initially, and everyone just kind of completely flouted any kind of logic or common sense, and so they're kind of like, Eid just is going like it's that kind of melting pot of different ingredients just can't go well. So makes sense.
Which is so funny because today I was mentioning to my flatmate as I was coming home that everybody looks like they're just going on business as usual, but with masks on. And to be fair, I live in a place where there's at least 8 supermarkets within a 5-minute walking distance. So I understand that people could be doing grocery shopping and all that, but it just looked a little, again, back to earlier points, it looks a little busy for the fact that I feel like we're going to go into the second wave. Luckily, definitely. We're in Dubai, so the summer will keep people inside 100%, but it's still nerve-wracking to see everybody just living their best lives.
Yeah, I don't disagree. You see,
Kim K masks.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
I can't.
All right, so we're gonna leave the news there for this episode. So the piece of content that I want to talk about is a gentleman by the name of James Hoffman. Now, I came across him because I was looking for a review on a coffee machine. I love coffee, and I like very much tinkering with gadgets. So obviously, my perfect combination is an at-home proper espresso machine with the milk steamer and everything. So I was reading a couple of reviews and stuff, and so I obviously wanted to see someone using it and get their perspective. And I found this guy. He's a former World Barista Champion, 2007. He co-founded a coffee roastery. Very, very interesting dude. But I love his mannerisms. I love the way that he presents, like as a personality on screen. I look at him and I like to think that were I to reach peak confidence and peak kind of like levels of being myself on camera, I like to think I might kind of be like him. So I want to be like him one day. And I don't know what I need to review or I need to put on my YouTube, but that's the vibe that I'm going for. I find him very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Incredibly eloquent, very, very well spoken, and also funny to an extent that is sinister. He is hilarious. It's so fun. He did a review of someone made coffee butter, not peanut butter, coffee butter. So with a whole bunch of stuff in it, and he just ripped this thing to shreds. And then there was another thing. Along with it. Now, mind you, this guy's like a coffee expert. This is a coffee expert.
Coffee, but I'm not gonna lie.
You say that, right? You say that, but he was just like, from a coffee expert's perspective, he was like, "This is disgusting. This is a terrible, terrible experience for someone who loves coffee. Like, if you love coffee, do not eat this." I know. I was heartbroken as well. I was also heartbroken. He then reviewed a Ocean Spray. You know the people that make cranberry juice?
Yeah.
So they made a cranberry juice lemonade cold brew. And he called it, the word abomination came up a couple of times. Despicable was also another word that was used. But my favorite description, he just repeated the phrase, "This is a terrible beverage." Just consistently. As he drank, he's like, "This is a terrible
I wouldn't
beverage."
Try that one. I'm not going to lie.
If I saw that,
think
you walk past certain things in the supermarket, you look at it on the shelf and you're like, "This is just, why? Why did you make this thing?"
Like, why did you decide that that was a thing? And I want to know the people who like it. That's who I want to meet. I want to meet the people who are like, oh my God, that's fire. No, I want to know because I want to sit down with them and have a meal.
Not cooked by them, hopefully.
What are they into? Why is that a thing? Like, to be so because like
what got disconnected
fairness,
in your brain that you like this thing that is in front of us?
Used to eat jelly and cheese sandwiches like as kids. Okay, I don't know why we liked it, but we were about that life. So we used to eat these sandwiches. So like, I know people just like weird stuff sometimes, but does that fall into everything you eat? Or is it just you like this weird coffee that Ocean Spray made, having no business making coffee?
It's terrible. It's terrible. And, and again, the description, he calls it like it tastes like stale, dirty water. And I'm like, oh no! Like I can imagine it. Like the cringe is, it's terrible. Terrible. Interesting dude. Very interesting. I'm going to link him in the description. I'm a big fan. James, if you ever see this, I'm a fan.
He's a fan.
Guys, tag James. I think that's it for our piece of content. We're going to jump to the topic. Do you want to tell them why I was so weirded out when we decided...
No, I think you should tell them why you were so weirded out by this.
I hope it was recording. I think it was on recording. They probably might have seen a small snippet of it if you want to throw it in at the very beginning of this. Because we in conversation, in preparation for this podcast, many, many weeks ago, we had a conversation about potential topics that we might want to talk about. And this was one of them that came up. We wrote them down into a Google Doc, and then the Google Doc disappeared into the ether. And coming back today, I was like, what the hell are we going to talk about? So as I do every 10 minutes before we start recording, because I'm like, what the hell are we talking about? And so I went down this list and I saw this thing and I'm like, episode 10, we talked about this. This could make some sense. And I was about to say it to you. So I was like, so here, how about this? I had an idea. I saw it on episode 10. We should talk about, and before I could finish my sentence, you said the word talent, and I got freaked out. I thought you were spying on the doc, and I thought that you'd seen me like highlight it and make it bold and like everything, and I was significantly freaked out. But you had the same idea. Now, why did that thing stick out to you?
So I'll insert the clip now.
We all know the person who is very funny, very intelligent, like a great singer or a great athlete or their whatever, in their personal time, like as a hobby. And it's kind of like, you could be amazing. You could be great.
Yeah.
And that's where the difference lies. There are plenty of people that could be, and there are others that just do.
But because you said that in the previous podcast, just talking about how kind of just trucking along means something even if you aren't the best. But people who are the best may not actually become the best because they don't put in the work. And what's the actual name of this topic?
So the name of the topic, and I like it. I like it because we kind of took different ideas from it. We took a different angle. It's called Taking Talent for Granted.
Yeah.
Explain your side of it. Tell me about why you went in the direction you went.
I'm surrounded by incredibly talented humans, a lot of times, or people who have something, like musicians and artists and bakers and all these people who are incredibly talented, just like have this gift, but then don't do anything with it. And whether or not that's because they don't want to, it's not what they want to do with their life. They're happy having it as like a little hobby or as a party trick or whatever it is for them. I look at the talent and I'm like, mate, like, why would you not want to be incredible? You know what I mean? Why are you happy just being
a hobbyist?
not just a hobbyist, but basic. Like, no offense, all my friends, I love you. But for me, it's like you could take that and you could do something with it. And that's because of my drive. That's because of how I would handle the situation. Or maybe I want it because I actually don't have those talents. But what I just want to exploit it. I want you to be everything that you can be within this talent that you are gifted. And you said something in the last episode. You were like talking about how drummers are rare. And even if there's like 700,000 drummers in a world with, what is it? What are we at now?
Like 7 point something, 7.2
billion? 7 point something. 7.2 billion people, you are rare. And so people with certain talents, they're just rare. And they could be amazing. They could be incredible, and they choose not to be. That's their choice, and I have to let it go. Though it frustrates the crap out of me, all I can do is kind of like cheerlead from the sidelines, and if they want to do something, they will. If they don't, then I'll still be the cheerleader on the sidelines of their basic-ass lives.
That last bit sounded very...
No offense.
Last bit sounded quite charged. It was a loaded comment. But I think I'm kind of trying to figure out how to word this. I'll take it back to a very long time ago. When I was in school, I played football. I always wanted to be a professional football player. I was desperate to be a professional football player. I spent every waking hour, somehow planning, scheming, trying to figure out training, whatever it was, like doing something to try and get myself in that direction. And there were guys who would just show up on the pitch on match day, playing for the school team, and they would run circles around people with their eyes closed. They were so good. So good. And I thought to myself, like, how are you not like already like you have professionals that are playing at 17, 18. Like, how is this kid not that?
Yeah.
Because they're so good.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. Like, it makes you feel so inferior when you see this person doing that thing that they're good at. And I wanted so badly to be that. Fast forward, maybe, I don't know, fast forward maybe 5 years, and I'd been offered a professional contract. Because it was my everything. There was nothing else. It was my everything. I played football every single day, 365 days a year. Training at least 4 hours a day. Every day. Because I was obsessed. It was everything to me. And I couldn't stop until I had the thing. I was like, this is... I can't sleep. I want it so badly.
Okay, so what happened with the contract? Excuse me.
Self-awareness happened. Is what happened. There was a moment. I think at the time I got scared. It's kind of like the dog chasing the car, right? The tire. Like you get the car. Now what? It was kind of one of those moments. And I was kind of worried that the way in which it had happened wasn't right. It wasn't exactly what I pictured for myself, whatever. But the point was, and I think kind of in the back of my brain, the point was I was given the validation. I was told, okay, you're good enough. And then I kind of lost it.
Oh.
If that makes sense. Kind of the drive, I was like, okay, cool. I made it. I'm good. That wasn't making it. I never actually, I didn't play. I didn't do it. I didn't actually go and, have a career in it and, you know what I mean? But in that moment, my brain kind of just switched. Something else happened.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I didn't. And I'm super glad that I didn't, because I don't think it would have been what I wanted it to be anyway. And I don't... There were some dynamics, and maybe actually very interesting for this, is the hobbyist professional. I got to the point and I realized to a certain degree I loved to play football and I didn't love to work football. So maybe there was a distinction between the two. And I think...
And I've had friends who have actually said that about things, and I'm like, you're really great at this. You're really great at this. And they go, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Or that's not what I want to do as my job. I want to go do my job and I want to come home and do this thing. You know, like this is what I enjoy doing. And the second it becomes a monetary thing, the second it becomes my living, I don't get the same joy out of it. And I don't want to ruin the thing for myself. Like I'd rather keep it as my happy place than to exploit it for monetary value. And I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
But
you can't relate.
No, because if I was talented at anything, I would be exploiting. Okay, there's a quote that I'm so sorry, but it's so on point right now because of Kim K. But Kim K is on Ellen. And Ellen's like, "Oh, are you gonna sing for us?" She's like, "Yeah, I can actually sing. Did you know that?" And Ellen's like, "No." Like, are you serious? And Kim's like, "No. You think if I can sing, Chris wouldn't have exploited that already?" And I was dead.
Shit.
And I was like, man, I'm going to be moms like Chris. Like, you have a talent. Let's go. Like,
shit.
But, yeah.
That's interesting.
That's how I feel like I am for all my friends. I'm just like, come on. Like, what do we got to do? Like, let's do something with this. And they're like, I'm really just trying to live my simple life. I'm just trying to like go to work and come home. I'm like, fine.
That's really interesting. It's like the dichotomy of like having that ability and I don't know whether it's perception as well, because those same people that I was just like, oh my god, like these people make me feel so inferior because they're so good. It's also, I think, also kind of a lens into how you approach the idea of talent as well, because you copy, but you kind of project yourself onto that idea of talent, and you're like, if I
well,
had
a lot
that,
of times they don't think they're talented.
Yeah, no, that's true as well.
And that's the part that, like, I'm like, okay, well, not everybody sees themselves the way that you see them. So maybe my perception of talent in a in a specific area is wrong. Maybe it's just because it's my friend, and I'm like, wow, you're so great. Like, and they're like, not really. But
you said something else not long ago
also, is it just
about
insecurity?
I think it was to do with making content, but there's certain daily truths that we take for granted in our lives, like the difference between someone else's aha moment and your very normal thing. So something in your industry, let's say that you are a carpenter, for example. Let's say you're a carpenter, and you are an incredibly good carpenter. You're very, very good. And there's certain carpenting basics that in your brain are basics. You think it's just normal. Like, obviously, why wouldn't I, cut a piece of wood this way or versus a different way, whatever the case is. And someone who's maybe from outside looking at your work, and you kind of just say it as an offhanded comment, you're like, well, why wouldn't I? And that person's like, aha, wow, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
That information, that knowledge that you take for granted because you've done your 10,000 hours of mastery. You've attained mastery.
Yeah.
You're good. You are an expert already. And you take it for granted.
Which is funny that you say that. My dad is a plumber, contractor. Yep. He's done everything, but he just started a company, which is great for him because he's always been an employee and he's always been proud of that. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But that's always been where he's comfortable. I'm great at doing my job, and he's taken so much pride in that. And he's been paid well for that. Plumbing is the industry to get into. Plummetry or electrician. Go.
No jokes.
But when we were on the phone recently, maybe like a week ago, he was like, I'm an expert in what I do, and I should be paid for that. And he's like, when you do manual labor like this, your body only gives you a certain amount of years. And he's like, and now, because I've acquired this level of knowledge, having done this for 30 years, I am in a position to be able to leverage that to teach other people everything that I know, to be able to handle clients and customers because of all this years of experience that I've had. And for me, he's going to be 55. 2 days. I thought I missed his birthday. He's going to be 55 here soon. And so to hear that in a way where he's finally at this point realized or maybe come into his true value, where he's like, no, I am an expert. No, I do know what I'm like. And I have that knowledge to be able to give and to educate. And maybe that's people's journey, you know, like that's where you have to get to before you can go, no, I'll do this for myself. You know what I mean?
I love what you just described. There was an amazing
even
story.
At 55.
An amazing story. I'm so sorry to cut you off there. But that just reminded me this story of it's an old one. It's been passed around many times and in many different variations. But a factory owner is having an issue with one of his machines. The machine just won't work, and it's a very expensive machine. He needs this thing to work. Like, it's the integral part of their production line. And so he calls this consultant, like expert, who knows this machine inside out. Everybody knows that if there's a problem with the machine, you call this guy.
Yeah.
So this guy arrives, whatever, and he's like, I'm going to go take a look at your machine. He looks at the machine. He kind of like walks around it, just looks at it, like taps one little edge with a hammer, ding, 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 listening to it a bit. He takes out a piece of chalk, draws an X on one little side of it, pulls out a drill, drills a hole in the X, hits the switch on the side, and the machine purrs as if it's never had a problem. He submits his invoice, it's $10,000. And the factory owner's like, what? What are you talking about? What? $10,000? You took a piece of chalk and you drilled a hole. What am I paying you $10,000? You drilled a hole. And the guy says, listen, you're not paying for the hole that I drilled. You're paying for the 35 years that I've worked in this industry to know to drill that hole right there to make your machine work. And that's the difference. Your dad knows where to drill the hole, and he should be paid as such.
That's one of the I've heard the same story, but in the sense of a logo. As the logo was drawn on a napkin during a business meeting, and the person gives their cost for it, and the company owner goes, why would I pay you for something that you drew on an afternoon at like a brunch? He's like, you're not paying for that. You're paying for the years of experience that I've had to know that that's the best logo for you, and to be able to draw it on a napkin in the middle of brunch and have that be what's going to make you money. So yeah, I love that. It's incredibly accurate.
So let's draw this then back to the talent discussion. I love where we went with that, but let's draw it back to the talent, taking talent for granted. That's the difference, I guess, between people who have that talent and they're very good at their thing that they do, whether that's as a hobby or it's just something that it's a skill that they have.
Yeah.
What do they need to take action? Those people, like, is it maybe not just a supreme self-awareness that they know that it's just not my thing. I just don't want to do it.
If it's that, then fine. That's it. You know what I mean? Like that's your period. You don't need to do anything else. You live your life, you have your hobby, you do your thing, right? My problem is not my problem. My sadness, I guess, more lies with the people who do want it and who don't believe in themselves enough or don't think that their talent is anything or are just scared or just have that fear of failure. And to those people, I would think it would be time to assess yourself, to really like look yourself in the mirror and go, okay, how long have I been doing this? Do people enjoy it? Is it something that I have continually improved on? And then from there, making a decision on what you want to do with that. Is it something that you go, no, you know what? Actually, I'm glad I know that I'm good at it, but I'm going to keep it as a hobby. I'm going to keep it as my party trick. Like, That's it. You know what I mean? But then being honest with yourself, if you do want something more than that, and if you do, then take it.
I think there's an immense amount of
Like,
bravery involved in that, though. Like
There is.
looking yourself in the mirror and saying, like, the bravery is not even just in taking the action. I think you even take it a step further back from that. There's bravery in admitting and acknowledging, I am good at this. I'm really good, and from a place of not ego or false humility or insecurity, saying, I'm being completely honest with myself by any standard that I could measure myself against. I'm good at this.
Yeah.
That, like, I think it's a point that I've not even reached, but I think.
And I think people will reach it in different ways. Like, some people will have multiple talents. And maybe they have 3 talents, and one of those they're like, no, solid. I know that I'm good at this. They do or do not want something more from that. But it's something you have to come to terms with in every facet. So whether that's work, like, are you good at your job? And maybe you have insecurities with that, but looking at yourself and going, no, like, I've done my job well, and I am worth something. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big problem of why people don't. I'm sorry to take this, like, this is podcast going to last forever, but why people don't ask for promotions, why people don't ask for the job that they want is because they're not admitting, like, let's take a talent out of the way, but just that they're good at their job, that at the very basics, like their 9 to 5, that they don't value that. And that is something that I think could be applied to literally the entire population. Is if you're good enough, ask for the promotion. If you think that you have done the work and put in the time, like, go for what you want. Again, this is, if you don't want it, this is all hot air. None of this matters to you. But if you do, assess yourself and try to do it objectively. Stand outside of you and being the worst critic on yourself, and look objectively out of it. If this was your friend, if this was your colleague, what do you do right? What do you do wrong? And what do you deserve from that?
100%. I couldn't have said it better. I think in the same way that in episode 10, which was the reason that I think both of us picked on this topic specifically, is that you, in the same way that you owe it to yourself to make a piece of content that, you know, is your stake in the ground for who you are as a person, what you believe, what you think, how you feel about things. I think also in terms of that, maybe jumping even further back to the personal growth episode, you owe it to yourself to give yourself the validation and not the validation so much, but the pat on the back. Yeah, to say to yourself, like, yeah, I am good at this.
Objectively good or bad.
You owe it to yourself.
What I mean?
And this is another thing. We're getting so, like, deep into this one, but there's even the assessment of what good is so subjective. It's so subjective. Like, there's been plenty of times that I've sang something, I've performed a song, and I've thought to myself, yeah, not the one, really. And then someone will be like, that was incredible. And I'm like,
yeah,
not really, though. And they're like, no, it was good. And I'm like, you can't take that feeling away from that person. If someone thinks something's good, they think it's good. If someone thinks you're good and you don't think you're good, that doesn't invalidate their feeling of you being good.
Their feeling.
If they think that you're good, then fucking just say thank you and just be like, and like, somebody likes what I do. There's a woman who eats pickles in front of a microphone on YouTube.
There's a woman who smashes her face against bread.
Guys, you can be good at anything. Anything. You can be good at reviewing really bad cold brew and coffee butter, and people will like you. Come on.
Yes.
Take this as your... That's where we're...
If you are listening to this and you do think that there's something that you want to try or that you haven't been fair, like with assessing yourself, I'm just going to get on a soapbox for a second and do it. Just do
100%.
it. Take an hour out of your day, and if it comes down to getting a piece of paper and literally writing a pros and cons list about yourself, but a way to make it objective. Pretend that you're your sister or your best friend or your colleague or whatever it is, but be objective for an hour about who you are and what your skill set actually is in the area that you're trying to excel. And then honestly, tell us what the results are. Tell us what you do after. Like, I'd be so curious to see if somebody actually does this and what comes of that, and what you do as a person following that assessment. Yeah.
Entries accepted until 2030. If you're watching this anywhere between 2020 and 2030, send me an email. I want to know. I want to know what you're doing.
Yes, please.
After 2030, probably also as well, but it might be harder to find. We're going to be so famous. We're going to be with Snoop Dogg. Maybe just
manifest it, girl.
Just
manifest
blank
it.
out that last bit. We'll be with Snoop Dogg.
I'm not blanking anything out.
You're so shameless.
Fine, I'll blank it out.
All right. I think it's a very good place to end on. I believe. So.
No. You have to say hi to the moms first.
Hi, moms.
Hi, moms.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
You can come with when we go visit Snoop. So moving swiftly along, I guess that's us for this episode. Episode 11 draws to a close. Thank you all so much for watching and giving us this immense opportunity to navel gaze and enjoy being ourselves and just talking and having a good time doing this. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, hit the notification button. Of course, leave us a comment, leave us likes. I'm noticing that I'm noticing we're getting likes on the videos. There's likes on the videos, which I like it. There's
a
couple
Thank
likes.
you guys.
Thanks for the likes.
We appreciate it.
And Kim, thanks for the comments as well. I like the comments.
Always Kim.
She doesn't
Love
believe
you,
I didn't
girl.
watch Mr. Rogers. I grew up in Africa. Mr. Rogers don't be in Africa. Please, come on now.
I know. I commented. I was like, he's not American. It's fine.
Sorry, I'm joking, Kim. I do love
I did.
You. Moving, if you're listening on any of the audio platforms, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, please, of course, reviews, ratings, comments, send the link to people who listen to podcasts. If you do enjoy it, tag us on Instagram. Let us know that you are listening. That would be immensely helpful. And of course, that's a lot of ego boost that we love as Aries. So thank you so much for listening. And that's me. I'm out.
Bye, guys. You know, I was kind of thinking that we should have named the podcast Two Aries, One Podcast.
No. Why? No. That's so bad. Why do I love it? It's a terrible idea.
No, it would have been fantastic.
No.
No, because those who get it will really get it, and those who wouldn't get it be like, oh, they're so into astrology.
We're keeping all of this in the podcast, aren't we? This is all in.
The podcast ended.
This all has to be in it.
No, we ended it already.
Thank you for watching up until this point.
It'll be the ending.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. If you've watched the end of these videos,
I love you.
Oh my god, you are the realist. Because this is my favorite part to edit is the end clip. And the beginning clip, but you guys are forced to watch that.